Hi, friends. Welcome back to the channel. It's Sunday morning. I have my microphone. I have a cup of coffee. I'm ready to sit and chat with you about all things Tamagotchi Connection because this was a very big week for rumors and excitement around a potential re release. And I thought today would be the perfect day for us to sit down and talk about it. So grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and let's chat about Tamagotchi Connection. I'm not sure when you'll be listening to this, but this past week was April Fool's, which for me is I honestly hate it. Everyone has like some silly little joke or something that they think is going to be really funny, and it's usually pretty lame. But this year, Tamagotchi Connection rumors just started to spiral, stemming from some April Fool's jokes. And I think we need to talk about it today. Because if you are a collector or in the Tamagotchi community, the connection is something that is very important to a lot of us. And I think let's chat about why it is. Okay. So, Tamagotchi Connection came out originally in the year 2004. So, for a lot of us in this community, Tamagotchi Connection was our very first Tamagotchi device. I'm a little bit older than some of you. So my first device was the original Tamagotchi in the late 90s. But I see a lot of you posting, commenting, telling me about your original Tamagotchi, and it was the Tamagotchi Connection. So this device is very nostalgic for many, many of us within this Tamagotchi community. And this year being the 20th anniversary is a very big milestone for this portion of the Tamagotchi brand. So we've already seen 20 and 25-year anniversaries for the original Tamagotchi. So this is the next big milestone in the Tamagotchi brand for this particular device to hit a 20-year milestone. And for years, anywhere, if you go on any Tamagotchi branded social media account, you will see people commenting and begging for a re-release of the Tamagotchi Connection. All right, so what is Tamagotchi Connection? There are many different names for it depending on where you are in the world and what device was available to you at the time. I believe in Japan it was the Tamagotchi Plus. In the United States or in the Americas, it was the Tamagotchi Connection. In Europe, it was also the Tamagotchi Connection with like an X. They've also been called N-Tama and K-Tama in Japan. But what it is a device that was basically the next generation Tamagotchi after the original released. This was a way for Tamagotchis to be able to connect with each other, which was very big technology at the time. In the early 2000s, we didn't have cell phones. We barely had the broadband internet that we are all using today. We barely had a lot of technological advances that we use now, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. So infrared technology was pretty exciting. Tamagotchi Connection was a device. The original, the first one that came out in 2004, looked just like an original Tamagotchi with added features. There was additional games. There was more gameplay. There was more to do. You could raise your Tamagotchi and it would learn a job. It was like the first big improvement in the Tamagotchi franchise. And very memorable because it used infrared technology to be able to connect, and your Tamagotchi would be able to play with another Tamagotchi device. Very, very exciting technology at the time. Previous to that, the only thing we saw where two virtual pets could connect was Digimon, and they physically had to be put together in order to play together. So this is the first time we didn't need any physical connections, wires, or anything of that sort to connect our Tamagotchis together and be able to play with someone else's Tamagotchi. Very, very, very cool. There were several versions. Okay, so The first one looked a lot like the original Tamagotchi with added features, and then as time went on, they expanded the gameplay even more. We have version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 is like the rarest. Each version had different gameplay, and some of the versions even had like a 4.5, 5.5 little additional gameplay on top of whatever was introduced in that particular version. So there was a lot of Tamagotchi connections between 2004 and I want to say like maybe 2008 or 2009. All right, so why are we talking about this now? We are talking about this now because March 20th was the official 20th anniversary for the Japanese version of the Tamagotchi Connection, the Tamagotchi Plus. Many fans were watching and waiting and hoping that some news or some re-release would come out on the 20th of March. Well, the 20th of March has come and gone, and we have seen nothing. Actually, nothing official. Since then, though, we've seen some little Easter eggs that people are starting to pick through on Instagram to see if there's something there and something telling us that we will get this connection re-release that we have been dying for. If you follow the Japanese Tamagotchi account on Instagram, there were these cute little videos. I'll see if I can like play them here for you. But there were these little videos that showed like cartoon Tamagotchi characters, and then they would transition into the old characters from the connection and the original Tamagotchi. So it wasn't just the connection, there was a little video that also showed characters transitioning back to the original Generation 1, Generation 2 characters. So that was the first hint that people started to grab onto and run with, that we are potentially getting something this year. The caption, if you used the Instagram translator, says, "What if we could go back?" And so people were just running with that. Now the video came around April Fool's Day, or what would have been April 1st in Japan. So I don't know that I thought much of it. But then on April Fool's Day here in the US, Bandai Tamagotchi US released this post, which had people reeling. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a picture of I can't remember if this is a Gen 1 or Gen 2 re-release Tamagotchi. I think it's a Gen 2 with a little antenna on it. Okay, so there were many versions of Tamagotchi Connection. The first two looked a lot like an original Tamagotchi, and then when they got around to version 3, they added on this little antenna so that it was clear that it was a connection version. I don't know if the antenna had anything to do with the infrared. I think it might have just been for aesthetics, but we had an antenna. And this post has people reeling that we are going to see a Tamagotchi Connection re-release. Why? Why would an April Fool's joke make you jump to a conclusion like that? Every post that Tamagotchi US puts on to Instagram has a flurry of comments begging for a connection re-release. Tara Batty talks about how we want a connection re-release. The company knows we want this re-release. And so them making a joke of something we've been asking for seems almost mean. It seems almost mean. Like, why would you do that if you weren't already planning on giving us what we want, right? I mean, maybe in this era of crazy social media speculation and whatever, maybe they're just trying to get us all hyped up for whatever the next thing is going to be, and they're not going to re-release a Tamagotchi Connection. I don't know. I personally think there's something a little bit more here. I think we will see something Tamagotchi Connection related in the next year to celebrate the 20th anniversary. Do I know what that thing will be, though? No, I don't. The brand has talked about in the past how it appreciates its past and where it's come from, but it's always building towards something new. So new devices, new audience, new members of our fun Tamagotchi community, just always trying to build towards that next thing. So I I personally am on the fence about whether we will see a Connection re-release this year. I think there's a lot of hints and a lot of things pointing towards that. But there's also potential that some of us have talked about within the community that there might be something fun Tamagotchi Connection related that's released on the Tamagotchi Uni. Kind of a throwback, something to give us like that hit of nostalgia, that thing that we've been looking for, but not exactly the Connection re-release that we have been hoping for. The reason why I say this is because everything kind of builds on something previously with the Tamagotchi brand. I've been watching it for this is my 6th year, like kind of watching the brand and seeing what it's doing. So I look back at what they've done previously, and in the Tamagotchi Smart, something that was released was very hard to get, but they did it. It was called K-Tama and N-Tama Tamagotchi Smart cards. These cards had iconic characters from that Connection era, or their K-Tama, N-Tama Japanese version. They also were characters that were on the other American and rest of world versions as well. Those characters were a little upgraded from the Pixel version, but they did have these cards that allowed you to play characters from the past, from the previous versions. So my thought with everything that's going on right now is that the brand is building towards putting in some additional content in the Tamagotchi Uni that will be Connection themed to give us what we're looking for, but still build on the newest, latest device and the branding that they're going for. That's my thought. I think it's very possible, especially with the new DLC that we've been seeing for the Tamagotchi Uni, following along right along with what they did with the Smart, but more. So because we did get these cards, the N-Tama and K-Tama for the Tamagotchi Smart, I think that's what we're going to see here. Would I prefer a re-release? Yes. Yes, I would. I'm a collector. I want every version of the Tamagotchi Connection, but I don't want to pay those eBay prices, right? I haven't shown my latest collection in a long time, but I do have 2 Tamagotchi Connections. I have a version, I think it's 4.5, that I bought in 2020. This is very nostalgic for me because 2020 was a very challenging year for the world. And for me in particular, I was very lonely, and I found this connection on eBay for $40. And I played it through the first several months of the pandemic to, 1, get to know what the Tamagotchi Connection was all about, and 2, to kind of stave off some loneliness I was feeling. So while it's not the nostalgia of my very first Tamagotchi, it is nostalgic for me in that Tamagotchi Connection was there in a dark time in my life. I have since bought myself a version 5.5, which is the family one. It was pretty expensive. I'm a collector. I would like all of them, and they're not affordable to me. So would I love a Tamagotchi Connection re-release? Yes, I would love it. Do I see one coming for us this year? I hope that I am wrong. I hope that we are getting it. It's happening. It's just a matter of when. But I more see happening for us is like a Tamagotchi Connection themed download area for the Tamagotchi Uni. That's what I see for us in our future, based on everything that happened with Tamagotchi Smart in the past. So those are my thoughts. I am dying to know if you have been reeling from all of the Tamagotchi Connection rumors that have happened over the last week or so. Are you excited or hoping for a Connection re-release? I want to know everything you're thinking in the comments below. I gave my prediction. I think we'll see DLC for the Uni, but I hope I am very wrong. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope in a couple weeks I'll be making a video about the Connection re-release. All right, friends, it is way past my time, so I'm going to get going, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye! Thank you for your feedback on these like podcast style videos. I'm obsessed with them. I love filming them. And I love chatting with you about all things Tamagotchi. So thank you. I hope you're enjoying this episode of I don't know, I want to call this some sort of serious name, but I haven't quite figured out what it should be called, like Tama Talk, or I don't know. If you have any ideas, drop them in the comments for me because I want to make this a running series.